Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I call the Budget Committee to order. Um, we need to look at the agenda. Is there any additions or changes to the meeting agenda?
Chair Doherty, I would like to recommend that we change the executive session to the last item.
Okay, so are we going to be discuss H Bill 3101 or just replace
We'll
it?
just put it after that.
Okay, good enough. So we'll go into an executive session after item 6. Okay, any other changes? Okay, seeing none. Hello, Commissioner Fowler. How are you today? Hopefully not too flooded out because it's pouring down rain up here now. So anyway, to old business, the 2025, the next biennium budget development update. Connie.
Sure. Thank you, Connie Wing, for the record. Executive Director, Oregon Racing Commission. As of right now, the budget is scheduled to be heard on the 25th, I believe, of March.
Okay.
We'll know more after that time. I think the bigger question is the bills that are surrounding the budget, because that will dramatically impact where we end up. And I can let you know a little bit of where we are on that. We have the two bills, the Greyhound bill and the 25% bill, will go as a package. And we're waiting for that to be scheduled. We're hopeful. I was hoping it would be scheduled next week, but it looks like it will not make it next week. Maybe the week after. I'm not sure. But that is House Bill 3020, which restricts Greyhound. And currently, I understand that is to have a date of the 1st of July, 2027.
Okay.
The second one is the 25%, and you all know about that bill. And again,
the meeting is going. How do I get it speaker?
Connie, there you go. The other bills that we have, one bill is Senate Bill 853. And that one increases individual licensing and the hub licenses. I have not been able to reach Senator Meeks. I've tried several times. Maybe you could help me, Commissioner Chair, and say, when are you going to hear this bill?
Senators are very difficult to get a hold of. They really are. But I will actually give Senator Meeks' office a call.
That would be great. I have contacted the office several times. I've stopped by personally twice, and they are very busy. I can tell they all look a little overwhelmed. But I do want to make sure that bill does get heard, because that we are counting on that as part of our budget. It may not be huge amounts of money, but it does all add up. The other bill that it's not our bill, and we do not have a positive or negative. The commission is officially neutral on the bill. And just so you know what that means, we can provide information, but we are not to support or go against the bill. So any information that anyone wants from us, we'll absolutely tell them how it would impact us. And I will be there for the hearing for that meeting. That bill is 31.
3101. It's not
3101.
3101. That's the Lively's bill.
Yes, that's Lively's bill, and Gomberg has co-signed on it, which I think is pretty amazing. And we believe that would make the industry whole after losing Greyhound.
Yeah. I've also noticed that Representative Whalen from Klamath Falls is also signed on.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yes. So it's definitely a bipartisan bill.
Yes.
Which will be very helpful. I don't know what the budget forecast is going to look like. There's a lot of unknowns right now on what the state will or will not get from federal means. I don't know if that's going to be impact, but we won't know until we know.
Yep.
So I think there's less question about our actual budget bill and more questions about the other bills at this point. So I don't expect there to be much controversy around the budget bill. I feel pretty good about it, but you never know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So that's my report.
Okay, thank you.
More to come.
Okay, Commissioner Fowler, you have any questions about the budget report?
I do not, thank you. I wanted to say hello earlier. I couldn't get my microphone turned on fast enough. So hello.
Hello. Okay, as I say, when budget stuff is, sometimes this gets pushed aside a little bit for priority budgets, but budget bills. But I will try to get a hold of Senator Meek and find out what the status is of that bill. But they are busy, no doubt about it. Okay. Second thing, any other old business? We don't have any other on the agenda. The new business, and most of it is the discussion of the associations and the commercial hub fund grants. And so that's going to be the first discussion of the association and commercial race meet hub fund grants. And this was something that was of a concern, I think, last time the budget committee met, and the thing about, where should it go? Because there have been some additional requests for this. So I know there's some information, so I will probably turn it over to Karen for information.
Actually, I'll cover that. I think this is this one. Where is my little darn agenda? So just to give a little background on this, oh, well, we have Sora later. So yes. So we have applications from all of our associations. Do we have everybody on here? We've got Linnell, Leah. Is Randy here? Does somebody want to reach out to
Yes,
Randy?
Randy is here.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
I must
I'm
be
here.
blind. There you are. Okay. All right. So who wants to go first? What I thought I would do is I would pull up the application and then let you talk through. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at these, but I think you will notice that we have $1 million, which is really stretching it, and we have almost $1.5 million in requests. So we will not be filling every request the way it is. And we're not going to make any decisions today. Well, of course, this is up to the chair, but I understand that we're not going to. This is for us to get as much information as we can and ask as many questions as we can to make some good ideas and considerations for when we discuss this at the big meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's what we're doing.
who's first?
On the at least on the agenda, the first one was it the Oregon Horsemen's Benevolent Protection Association?
Yes.
I have this in order. Yes.
And I will pull up the application.
Yeah. I've got the application here, and basically, what it was is the total amount of hub funds requests was $300,000 from the Benevolent Association, and they'll use to set. Well, how about the person in charge of this go through and talk about it?
And let me go ahead and
So,
share
Randy?
it in case you have any questions.
Yeah.
I'll share it while there you should all be able to see it. And you're on, Randy.
Okay. All right. So thank you to the chair and to the rest of the subcommittee here. And so basically to start out with, I mean, we asked basically for the same percentage-wise amount that we asked for the last biennium for the hub funds. Obviously, there's less available this time than there was, but we did ask for the same percentage amount. As was the case in the last biennium, all of the hub funds will be used to supplement thoroughbred purses at the 4 fair meets at a rate of $1,000 per race, and plus an extra 1,000 allocated to each fair for what's always referred to as the HBPA race. And then in addition to that, we do pay $100 for 5th through, it wouldn't be 10th at the fairs, it'd be 5th through 10th at the commercial meet, but at the fairs, it would be 5th through 7th or 8th. And so, and then in addition to that, at the fall race meet, for 12 racing days, 6 thoroughbred races per day, we will provide all the purses for that. And in that case, we also have a $200 for 5th through 10th, since we're racing at Grants Pass. And as we say, the hub funds to pay approximately $30,000 for 5th through 10th, and $682,000 in purses for the fall racing meet. So, in a nutshell, every dime that we get from this hub allocation will go straight into purses.
Okay. And that's for all of the, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's for all of the fair meets.
That's
Around-
yeah. Each fair meet gets the same
Amount of money.
amount of money, with the exception of the fact that obviously until the race runs, we won't know if there are 6 horses or 7 to get the extra bonus money.
Okay, thank you. And this is pretty much what you guys have done every year.
Yeah, we've done this and ever since we started with the idea that you had to actually state what you were going to spend the money on.
Right.
For us, it just made sense to put all to purses.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioner
And
Fowler?
except for this is less money than what you have gotten in the past.
It is. But I mean, again, we stay with the same percentage. It's just that there's less to give away.
Okay, thank you. Because I noticed on here it was, no, that was somebody else's. So anyway, Commissioner Fowler, do you have any questions of Randy?
I do not. Thank you, Randy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Because
you.
that pretty much was my question was, is it pretty much the same budget and the same way that it is spent as you have done in the past? And the answer is yes. So, okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Director Nguyen, are you asking questions, or somebody has raised their hand, and Karen?
Karen Parkman has a question.
Yeah, because the questions that we're going to be doing are going to be with the 2 commissioners and the staff. So,
Yeah. So since Karen, you are on this committee, please go ahead.
Yeah.
So Randy, just for informational, do all other jurisdictions pay money out to 5th through 10th place?
No, I mean, all would be too big of a statement. They certainly not all, but there are a number of others that do. So it is meant to be it's meant to be sort of a combination of an incentive that gets people to come to your race meet. And also on the second hand, for those trainers and owners who just are participating in the race, but don't win anything in the race, it basically is set up so that it covers the price of a LASIK shot and the jock mount. So it's just a way to kind of keep the horsemen even, so they come out of the race and not having spent money that they did or did not have. But that's what its intention is just to offset those expenses for that race, for that horse.
Does that help also bring more horses then, because to fill races with, because they're getting some?
Well, we would
something?
certainly we certainly intended that it do that, and I think that is true. I mean, I think that there's a lot of the horses that come in, especially from some other jurisdictions that don't enjoy that sort of a supplement, that look at that as an extra benefit.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I don't have any. I don't see any hands raised. So, Randy, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Quite
Okay,
welcome.
the next one on the agenda was the Oregon Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association. That was Linnell Smith had. So,
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Chair Doherty and Commissioner Fowler and other committee members. We submitted our request for the same percentage as the 23-25 biennium. Unfortunately, the stakeholders did not meet to discuss this prior, so we stuck with the same percentage. It's unfortunate that the money available is so much less than in the past. This will be $81,000 less than we received for the 23-25 biennium. It is also significantly less than in past years. So our application, when I submitted it, I just put in the $200,000 for our programs. These are all programs we have had for decades. And I wasn't able to do a line item estimate because with such reduced amount of funds, we will have to eliminate probably over 50% of our programs. We are the only association who directly supports thoroughbred breeders in the state. We've been doing that for 80 years and we'll continue to do it as best we can with the limited funds. And we appreciate everything that Oregon Racing Commission has done for us. And we hope that your support will continue. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I noticed on here, and in fact, I had it stapled, but it's not your budget, is that you didn't have the line item. You didn't have the line item budget yet, correct?
Right. I submitted with the application the 23-25 budget so that you could see what we've spent on our individual programs. But with such a reduced amount of money, it's hard to estimate what we're even going to be able to offer.
Okay,
We're hoping it was all emailed.
And so this was the thing of the Fair Purse supplements, the Fair Breeders Award, that's your budget from this year?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
got it. Thank you. Because the one question I have is on here, what is it, because when I read the letter, I got the idea that a lot of the programs were incentives to breeders to breed.
Right.
And so is, which one on the line item is what kind of help you give them?
The biggest one is the foal incentive that we've offered. We started that in 2016 when our foal numbers had dropped so dramatically, and we've clawed our way back up. 2024 saw a 44% increase in the number of foals due to the programs we're offering to incentivize breeding. But all of the programs incentivize breeding because then Oregon breeders know that those will be available. The cost is so exorbitant to have a foal, and purses alone don't pay the bills. By the time the foal gets to the track, they've already spent $20,000 at least on that horse, and it hasn't even made any money back yet. So while our programs are designed to help the breeders, it also helps as an owner. So if you are an owner breeder, which most of our participants are, that's the only way they can make a living is to also race their horses. They're not just breeders alone.
Okay.
So all of those programs do incentivize breeding.
Because I was going to ask, of the horses that are bred, how many of them are not really, how do I put this? They don't necessarily race, but they're sold.
In Oregon, we don't have a big breeding industry per se. It's not like you have it's not in Kentucky, there are farms that just breed horses and sell them. Okay. So in Oregon, since we are so small, most of the breeders race their own horses that they've bred. Okay. So you're getting both of them basically in one. But in order to keep them going, we have to have a number of different types of incentives to help them pay for the bills along the way. Okay. It's just, that seems to be what's worked for our breeders here.
Okay. So it looks like, at least with the budget that you presented, that it's $83,000 less for the next biennium than this biennium.
It's actually $81,000, and then we went over budget in addition to that by $83,000 because our full numbers were much stronger than we thought they would be. So we're looking at $160,000 to fill if we wanted to offer the exact same programs at the exact same levels.
Well, and I would assume that this is one thing you can say, okay, we're going to pay for 42 foals You can't necessarily go through and say, don't breed anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the one thing, you have X amount of dollars, and when those X amount of dollars are gone, then the full, you know,
Right.
breeders award is gone.
Right. We have to cut somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner
Can I ask-
Powell, have any questions? Or-
Just a quick question, just out of curiosity. So from the full incentive, what does that look like for each, like how much money is going to each?
Right.
Full.
So in 2016, we started out just paying $225 per foal. We thought if we could cover the Jockey Club fee for people, that would be a big help. And everyone was thrilled with that. That's not a very big amount of money. And we've been able to increase that over the years by eliminating some other things and putting more money into this. We're now paying $1,500 per foal,
Okay.
born in Oregon. So we had, I think it was 37 for 2024, and we're hoping to have at least that many, if not more, for 2025. We won't know the total number until the end of 2025, though.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a few. So one thing is, I think that you're gonna have to nail down this budget better before our full meeting. I don't think that we can approve it without knowing exactly where the money's going to. So I think you're gonna have to make some decisions on that and give us
Okay.
something more detailed.
Okay.
That gives you at least a few more weeks to get that together. And so you had 37 foals last year. How many did you have the year before?
It was in the 20s.
Okay.
It was a 44% increase, 23
Right.
to 24.
And how many breeders were that 37? Were they 37 different individuals? Was it 5 different individuals?
No, because some had obviously more than one foal. So there were probably 20 or so breeders. I didn't keep a count of that. I can certainly get you that information.
So most of them were single, probably.
I just, visioning my report there, there's probably 3 or 4 breeders that had more than one,
And
and the
how
rest
many
had one.
how many Oregon bred horses raced last year? Do you know?
I can get you that number too. I don't have it off the top of my head.
That would
Yeah.
be great to have for our full commission meeting. I think those would be interesting. And
Yeah.
Okay.
that's my questions for right now.
Okay. And I don't have any other questions.
Karen,
Any-
did you have a question?
Well, because I would. now this
I
kind
did
of-
have a question, if that's
Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead, please.
Is that the exact cost of registering a foal for the thoroughbreds?
The Jockey Club fee
$250?
is $225.
Okay. And I don't know how to say it. I don't want to offend anybody, but would they just not breed a horse if they can't get their registration fee? I mean, does that hinge on whether they're going to breed that horse and stay in the game?
In some cases, it may have, yes. I know I had one breeder who said because we raised our incentive to, I don't know if it was at the time we raised it to 1,000 or if we raised it to the 1,500. He said to me, well, with that, I'll breed 3 horses instead of just 1.
Okay.
So for some people, it does make a huge difference.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Lynn, thanks very much. I appreciate this. That's good.
Thank you.
If you send the other along to Connie with her request.
I will do that, certainly. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we had on the agenda was, the Quarter Horse Association and their request. So Leah,
Okay,
is that Leah?
thank you, Chair Doherty and Commissioner.
They actually have
Lynn.
2 separate requests, just so you know, so we'll go through both of them. The first one is the big one.
Okay, one's the hub. Is the other one the Is that the HRA LLC?
They have you may not have gotten it. There's a second one for breeding for 60,000 that they also
Oh, okay.
requested.
No, I don't have that one, but go ahead.
I'll show them both on the screen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, we, as you can see there, that, we are requesting, $300,000 for the 25-27 biennium. And all of our money goes into the purse money. As you see here, I've listed the, each one of the race meets. We also provide $1,000 like the HBPA does on each one of the purses to augment the 4,000 that the commission puts on each one of the purse money. So that's basically where all of our money goes. We also provide $100 to each one of the owners that runs 6, 7, 8, or 9 and 10, as it is at Grants Pass. The other race meets are 8-horse gates, I believe. So it's 6, 7, and 8. I didn't list that here, but we do provide that. Ours is a little bit different than the HBPA, or the reason that we began to provide that money was because so many of our quarter horse trainers and owners are what we call haul-ins. They don't necessarily live at the track all week long, and we have so many trainers that come from the Boardman and Hermiston area. And so we try to provide them with some gas money or expenses to make the trip. And while, the price of gas is higher and they've all got big trucks to haul those big trailers. And so it's not a lot, but we hope that it helps some. And so that we do provide that also. So, so our program for the 25-27 program or biennium is basically exactly the same as we did last year. So you can, if you look at our spreadsheet, number 1, as I suggested here, and I don't know if you can get that up, Ani, but
Let's see. what I've got.
actually,
this one,
yes.
and I apologize that it's sideways. Let's see if I can get it turned here. No, it's upside down. Okay.
So I guess I would start by saying if anybody has any questions, but what we've put together here is we typically, the quarter horses have always done 2 races a day at each one of the race meets. As all of you know, we have been increasing that substantially to fill races and to make each one of these race meets go. And so we have this year, we have, instead of 2 races a day, we're putting in 3. So for instance, at Eastern Oregon at Union, they have 3 days of racing. So that's 9 races. And at the $1,000 a race there, that's your 9,000. At Sora, we have 24 days. So the overnight purses
24 races.
Are the 24,000. The firecracker futurity we run at Sora. And so we add the 26,000 to, and then with the 4,000 from the commission, that is the $30,000 that we add to that race for the final. And at Prineville, we anticipate that we will run 16 races, and then at Tillamook, 11 races. And then at HRA, meet in the fall, we're anticipating 24, because we'll go back to the 2 races a day at that race meet. And mostly that's because we have to provide the entire purse, because the HRA meet does not get any money from the commission. The 4,000 at the other race meets. So, here we're just trying to show you some of the funds that hub funds will be going to the different races. The AQHA Derby Challenge, which we run at the Sora meet, we add 15,000 to that race. That there's also money sent to the track from the AQHA for that particular race also. So they add money to that. Prineville, we run our futurity there. We add 1,500 to that race. The Eduardo Sosa race, we add 3,500 to that. And the Roten Memorial race, we add 5,000 to that race. We have 2 handicaps at Tillamook, which we just started a couple of years ago, and I think this will be the 3rd year maybe. And that has we put 5,000 on each one of those. One is a 2-year-old futurity race, and then we have an allowance race that is 3 and up. And those have been very popular, and adding the additional 5,000 onto those races has really helped there. So as you can see, the totals are there. If you go over to the right-hand column and where it says annual, so this would be what the 341,000 would be what is the total of that. We would use 40,000 from our HRA purse account. And then we have source market funds that we can use there too. Our hub request for the year would be 150,000 based on the 300,000. And then our stallion auction money would be put into purses at 30,184. And then we also could, we would also probably need to use some of our savings, because as you can see, it's going to cost more than what we're going to receive from the commission. So does anyone have any questions on any of that? You want to add
Anybody have-
anything?
Okay, it was pretty complete, Leah, with this. So I don't have any questions. Does Commissioner Fowler or the staff have any questions? Okay, you're off the hook.
I just want to thank you for really detailing out where all the money is coming
Yeah.
from.
Because that really helps, because it gives us a better understanding, especially those of us that are not, inbred horse people. To do this, in fact, I had to look up what's the gestation period of a horse, because I kept saying, how many horses can you produce in a year? And you produce 1. So 1-ish. Yeah.
Right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, Commissioner Fowler.
Thank you. And this is just out of my curiosity. So the stallion auction, are those horse Oregon stallions can you explain to me what that is?
Okay. Yeah, no, they're not all, they're not all Oregon stallions. They are stallions from all over the country, but with our system with quarter horses, we can order semen from a stallion farm on a particular stallion, and it is shipped overnight in a special container to the owner, and with the veterinarian who has figured out when they need this stallion or the semen, then the semen is put into the mare here. And so the horse doesn't have to be sent directly to the stallion, and it's not a live breeding. It can be if people prefer to do that, but so the stallions would be from across the country. We had 31 stallions in our stallion auction this year. It was an increase over last year, and
Some from Louisiana, some
It's-
from Texas, some from
yeah,
California.
some from Louisiana, some from California, some from Texas,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
And so then are you as an organization buying the semen and auctioning it off, or where's the auction part of this come into play?
Well, we have an event, and in this case, the last 2 years, we've gone to a hotel in Hood River because we want to be kind of halfway for our people from Boardman and Hermiston, and then people from Grants Pass, and other places around the state. And then we have an auction. We have an auctioneer. We have a program. All the stallions are listed. This year, we actually had the information up on a video and a picture of each one of the stallions. The trainers and the breeders and the owners, they know these stallions because they track them. They know what they're get or how they're running, who's doing well and this kind of stuff. They follow all of that. So they know who they want. They want it. The breeding of their mare is critical to who they would breed to. So they decide who they want to bid on. And so the highest bidder is the one that gets that particular breeding from that particular stallion.
Got you. And what stops the owner from just going to that particular stallion and buying the semen and skipping you guys as the middleman?
Well, it's probably the best answer, I guess, would be that they are hoping that at our auction, they can get the stallion cheaper than they would if they go to the stallions to the farm.
Gotcha. And is this,
some of them,
are these breedings donated to you? I'm trying to figure out how you make money on this.
They're donated.
Okay. That makes sense now.
I actually went to one of their events year before last. I wasn't able to last year, and it was a very nice event. It was very well done, and there was a lot of excitement there, and I applaud them for doing something to try to bring money in.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
very, very well done.
Thank you for the information.
Connie, you missed a really good one this year because we did have the video and pictures of all of the stallions, and it was better than the first one that we did that you attended, and we appreciated you coming and doing that because we want everybody to know what we're doing. So,
Well, I was gonna say, you don't have a budget item where the stallion has to romance the female horse, do you? That's not part of the budget. Just kidding.
Ours is
I think the stallion can get excited all by himself without any incentive.
And
No,
the other
those
thing
are
is you had a second request too. Can you talk about this one?
Yes, I can. As I stated in here, we have never specifically asked for owners and breeder awards in the past, and we think that it's time to do this. We are one organization that is doing exactly what the OTOBA does and the HPPA does. So, except we're just doing it in one organization. And so we are requesting $60,000 over the 2025-27 biennium, which would amount to $30,000 each year, to provide hopefully more than what we have been able to provide in the past, which has been somewhere around 2 to 3, with the money that we get statutorily, it amounts to about 2 or 3% breeder and owner bonus. And we have augmented that with savings money to bring it up to at least a 5 or 6% breeders and owners award. And so we would like to keep and be able to raise that maybe to 10%. It all depends. There's a lot of things that go into it. And so it until you've done the whole racing season, you can't really tell for sure how much you're going to need. But this would be a start for us, and we would very much like to be able to give more money. And so the sheet that I really would like to talk about is the spreadsheet number 1 here, which if you can get that up, Connie.
That's what we were looking at before.
No, you haven't shown that one before.
No,
Let's see.
you don't want spreadsheet number 1.
Well, yes, in this proposal, it's spreadsheet number 1. The spreadsheets are totally separate for each one. So it's the one you just had it up. It's showing how many thoroughbred Oregon breds and how many quarter horse Oregon breds were at each one of the racetracks. You find that? You just had it up, Connie.
Okay, let me pull it back up again. Sorry. I'm a little slow. Okay. I'm a little slow.
It's okay. That's all right. No, you're fine.
Okay. So it's on here.
No, keep going. Well, yeah, keep going. Keep going. Okay, here you come. Okay, stop. Right. Whoop. Yeah, stop right there. Okay. So as you can see, at Eastern Oregon at Union, we had 3 days of racing. We had 52 starts for quarter horses. We had 19 Oregon breds for a 37%. Thoroughbreds had 40 starts, had 8 Oregon breds run at that race meet for 20%. At Sora, we had 172 starts. We had 92 Oregon breds that ran in those races for 53%. Thoroughbreds had 199 starts, had 31 Oregon breds for 16%. At Crooked River Roundup, we had 4 days of racing. We had 102 starts for quarter horses, 56 Oregon breds, and 55%. Thoroughbreds were 116 starts, 14 Oregon bred horses for 12%. Tillamook, 4-day race meet again. We had 68 starts for quarter horses. We had 35 of those were Oregon breds for 51%. Thoroughbreds were 123 starts, 18 Oregon breds for 15%. And then at the HRA meet, we had 12 days of racing. We had 223 starts for 101 Oregon breds for 45%. We had thoroughbreds at 516 with 61 Oregon breds running for 12%. So, and as per a report that we received from the American Quarter Horse Association, which is our national organization, Oregon, we had 98 Oregon bred quarter horses that made 1 or more starts in 2024. So those were some statistics that we wanted to show you as to why we feel like we deserve to get some extra money for our Oregon, for our owners and breeder awards. Any questions on that?
Thanks for the information. Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, not seeing that. I think the next thing, are we moving to discussion of SORA 23-25 supplemental?
We still have
Oh, we still
two
have-
more ago.
That's right.
One more ago. One more ago.
I have it in my hand right here. Okay, so the next one is the HRA.
What's another one?
Oh,
Oh,
Thank you, Chair Doherty and Commissioners. This is Rod Lowe, and our request for HRA is the same 30% that we've asked for in the past. Obviously, like everybody else, it's less money than what we've received, but it's going towards the same programs. You can see that over the biennium, there'll be 70 days of training based on how much per training day, and these details are farther down in our application, but cost roughly $4,533 per day at $158,655 for a race meet. So our total request, well, I'll keep going. So our 24 days of jockey insurance costs us $109,000 for our 12 days each year. So our total request was $536,310, or the total cost is. Our request is for $300,000, which is the 30% that we asked for last biennium for going against these expenses.
Okay. Are there any questions? And maybe this is just for clarification, because like I say, I'm still, fairly new at all of this. So the HRA works with the horses, the jockeys, and those, and that's where the money goes, is to help them.
The HRA puts
Them
on,
as opposed to purses and that kind of thing.
HRA puts on the commercial race meet. And as everybody knows, live racing loses money. And so we have huge losses. We try to gain monies from all different sources over the year and try to make enough money to put on a race meet.
Okay.
In retrospect, if you go back where Portland Meadows was, Portland Meadows used to run 70 days a year. And over the years, they went from 70 down to 35. TMB Racing went to 35 race days a year for the commercial meet. We're at 12 race days, and that is pittance compared to where we should be or have been in the past. And it takes every one of these sources to run these live race meets. Obviously, without a live race meet, you don't need any purses. Without purses, we can't have a live race meet. So it all goes together, all of these organizations working together to create purses. We work to create the venue and the live racing dates in order for the horsemen to have some place to go. All of it's important. Purses drive breeding, purses drive race meets, purses help the horsemen to keep their stock going and go other places. So this is just a small supplement that helps us to put on a 12-day race meet, which should be more like 70 days if we had our brothers like Portland used to do, where the Oregon horsemen could stay in the state all year long and have a race circuit. Unfortunately, our horsemen have to go and run with our fair meets and our small commercial meet. Then they have to find other venues to go to. Never used to be that way, but unfortunately, we're at that point now where they have to go to Arizona or California or someplace during the winter time in order to keep their horses racing and to keep their livelihood up.
Well, I understand one thing with Portland Meadows, and just because, when I was a kid, we used to go there. It's just there were fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer people going every year. And that's when they started cutting back on some of the days. Just, it's horse racing was like dog racing. It kind of, some of the appeal left people.
It's true on the live, it's true on the live, and
The
that's
library.
very true, but, you know, the industry has evolved from there where now it's all, you know, most of the people are sitting in their living rooms betting on the races and
Mhm.
watching the races and doing that. The unfortunate part of that is at the racetrack, you'll get a 20% takeout on your bettings. Whereas if you're simulcasting, it's split up between 3 or 4 different organizations. So instead of getting 20%, now you get 4. So even though their handle is bigger now at a lot of racetracks, they're making less money. So because it's split up between different venues that have to run the races.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. I see no hands. Okay, so, is that the last discussion we have, the last association we have? Karen?
Karen has a question, it looks like.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think-
So I don't have a question, but I did want to clarify on one thing earlier, just so it doesn't get misunderstood on the, so on the OTOBA record, on her record, on Linnell's record that she sent in for what was the previous year, that first, 56, I think it is. Hold on, let me get to it. It's a payment from the previous biennium is what it is.
Yeah,
So that 56,903 was actually a supplemental payment that came at the very end. So I know it infused everybody's initial, the start over for the new biennium, but that payment, everybody got a little supplement at the end of the 21-23 biennium. And then when we started 23-25, they got their 4 payments, and that amount that was actually allocated was 224,944 for OTOBA and OQHRA. So it wasn't 281 for the allocation that we did. It was 224 that would have been budgeted, but then at the end, like this time, we had this little pot of money to disperse again. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on what was actually allocated versus, what they got.
okay. Okay, thank you.
I want to make a huge error correction. I said that it was 1.5 million. It's not. It's 1.160. So we're 160,000 over.
Okay, that's a big difference,
It is a big difference. So
but it's still a difference, and trust me, they
it
will.
is still a difference, and we'll have to figure out where that money's coming from.
Okay. And that's the money for the rest of this biennium or for?
No, this is for the next biennium, the request from these 4 groups for the next biennium.
Got it.
And unfortunately, because of the additional costs for the fair meets that we had this time around, we're not going to have any extra money at the end of this one with the cross between that and everything else that's happened. There is no extra. Which is part of the reason why I've asked Rod Lowe just to give us a little more information on his budget from Sora, switching over to Sora. I
Can I
think
ask one question about the 1.16? So we're $160,000.
we have
over our
$160,000 request more than we have money to give out.
budget. Got it. Okay, that's what I thought.
So
Okay.
what you guys are gonna have to think of, and that's one of the reasons I really wanted you to ask questions about these things, is when you look at it, where do you guys think we should not pay that 160,000?
Mhm.
And what of those things is the most prevalent to what we're doing and what's going to get us to where we want to go? And
Yeah.
that's something that you guys have got to decide.
Okay.
So with that, I did want to, and sorry, Rod, to put you on the spot here, but I did have a lot of questions after the last meeting. And just for the record, I think it's important for us to clarify, and I'm going to pull this up. It's in both of them, but I'll just pull up the 2025, that's race dates, training day costs. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up and just ask you to walk through exactly what this money is. So there's nobody's surprise or nobody there's no doubt on where this money is going to. So the question is the extra
This is the
200.
request for this year for 25.
Well, yeah, but this money is also in the next two. This is
Oh,
for
okay.
this year and for the next two.
Okay.
It's the same amount of money for each one. It's at $200,000. So that's a lot of extra money that we haven't paid the vet before, and it's kind of lumped up in one: labor, workers' comp, security. And we didn't pay it before. How did you pay it for before is one of my questions. And can you break down exactly what that money is?
So are we doing this in this session or are we doing it in an executive session?
Well, this has to be public.
Yeah,
Now,
this
we
is
can
public.
go over the taxes in executive session, but this has to be public.
Okay, so it's gonna, okay. So are we discussing this first one? Or are we discussing the biennium one?
It doesn't matter. It's just that it's a 200,000 is what we're really looking at.
So you just want a breakdown of the 200,000?
Yeah, I don't care about the other stuff because I think we all are okay with the other stuff. Where I got a lot of question is this extra 200,000.
Yeah. And I
Well-
think the question is whether it's this biennium, whether it's 25, 26, or 27, the amount's the same. And so obviously the reasons for this amount would be the same for each of the next 3 years. So,
Well, it first starts by number one is that SORA has been going negative by about $300,000 in the last 2 years. That money has had to be made up by other organizations. One organization is HRA LLC. They've supplemented SORA by 150,000. The OHPBA has supplemented SORA by 150,000 because of our costs and because of what's gone on. So the workman's comp, I might need to go get a couple figures for you because I thought I had them here, but I gave these to Connie, but I don't know if she has them anymore. The workman's comp is not part of the other, I think I sent you to them in an email, Connie. The workman's comp, so our payroll is about 250,000. The workman's comp and taxes and part of that, because we run everything through that payroll service, is about $150,000 of that. And so part of that $200,000 is that workman's comp number, which is about 150,000. Then we have security, that is, I don't have that exact figure, but it's about about $40,000 of that security is in there. So between the workman's comp and the security is about $190,000 of it. And then the rest of it is some extra labor that's involved in the SORA meet versus maybe a different fair meet. And so and that workman's comp number it's not reflected in any of my other costs, like in the training cost. So that's over and above what we have to pay. So the biggest problem with this budget is that because we run 7 days and it's over a 3 or 4 week period of time, plus we have our training, It's ran more like a commercial meet. So we can't get the volunteers. What happened is there was a transition when TMB Racing took over Grants Pass Downs and made it a commercial meet. They eliminated the fair meet, which at that time, the SORA individuals became just dormant. And there was still a SORA, but it wasn't functioning. And so when we had to bring back SORA for a fair meet, we lost all of the volunteer situation that we had before that. And we have now become a fully paid commercial type of meet, which has increased our cost. And that's why it took me by surprise the first couple of years. I didn't ask for any more money ahead of time. I just asked the associations, HRA and HPBA, to help make up the difference. And they were gracious enough to do that. And so even though I probably should have asked 2 years ago for extra money when we had extra money, we didn't do that. So that's why it's such a huge jump right now. And that's why it's probably got everybody a little nervous as where the money's coming from. And we can go into executive sessions, but I showed Connie our P&L of last year. I showed her our taxes. We're not trying to make money. We don't have any, we're not putting money in the bank. We're just trying to pay the bills. And that's what we're trying to do here.
And we're going to review those here shortly. And I don't even think I need you in it, Rod, because it's pretty self-explanatory. But if we do, we'll call you in.
Okay.
So I think that helps. It's also important because the way this is written, just saying labor. So your explanation is a lot better because we do have to audit according to this at the end of the 2-year cycle.
Right.
So, and this one we'll be auditing for next fall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because we'll talk about this later, but just the one thing, and this is the same thing, because I think last time we met as a whole commission, I think you got the idea that we were a little nervous about that 200 grand and, you know, where it was and so on. And I just wonder, it's like the mission and the purpose of the Oregon Racing Commission is for race meets and to have them at county fairs and to, you know, do that kind of thing because you have money coming in from the state. And I'm not quite sure whether, I mean, the lottery pays for part of the county fairs and so on. And I understand that Rob's in a different situation because it's not a county fair. You don't have the volunteers, and we
No.
understand that. But I'm kind of wondering whether what's happening there, as opposed to what the main purpose is of what the, you know, Oregon Racing money is supposed to go to, is something that's a little different. And I don't know. I may have to get a legal opinion on that. But that's just kind of where it is. But I understand your situation because all of a sudden you had all these volunteers, you don't have them anymore.
Right.
I think you can go out and recruit them. So, but that is a different case. But also with this, to have labor and workman's comp usually in a budgeting aspect is a little more specific. So,
Okay.
but anyway, that's just my semi-accountant clicking in. So. Okay, any other questions or comments, or Rob, do you want to add anything to this, or?
No, I just, I appreciate you being diligent and looking at this. I understand that it's a big jump and I fully understand why you would question that. But I just want you to know we're a nonprofit organization. We're not looking at making any money. We just want to keep racing going.
Okay.
And it's really important for our 7-day meet. And the reason our meet needs to be longer than most is some of those big futurities like the Quarter Horse Association that was talking about that creates all those quarter horse races. Those things, you have to have 2 weeks between trials and finals for those types of races. So we need to have this budget approved based on having enough time so I don't have to cut back on days of racing or training, because that's where it's going to have to come to. And I hate to see another loss in our industry and losing days or losing training days when we don't have any hardly training facilities now. We have none. We don't have very many days of racing now. And for us to start losing more days of racing because we can't afford it anymore, it's just, it's more of a reallocation than anything else, I guess. The HPBA and the HRA cannot sustain spending $300,000 a year out of their budgets, because it'll either be a loss on the fair side of things or it's going to be loss on the commercial side of things. But it's going to be a loss somewhere.
Okay, I have another question.
Yeah.
On the document that you had, it said labor / workers comp / security at 200,000. Then underneath it has $1,000 times one has eight days and 7 days. Is this 200,000 for 8 days, or is it for the entire 57 and whatever days?
It's for the entire. For the entire race meet that starts clear back in May all the way through the middle.
Okay, so how many days is that about?
Wait. I have a question then.
Okay.
So, all right. So never mind, just corrected myself, because the money we had been giving you, or we did 1 year give you for training, didn't cover some of those other expenses.
It didn't cover all the training days, and it didn't cover any of the other expenses. No.
Yeah. And
So-
I
So
my
the-
question, go ahead.
The one that you're looking at is for racing secretary, that says $1,000 a day times 8 days.
Okay,
That's
got it.
$8,000 for the racing secretary.
Oh, that's for racing secretary. Okay.
This is labor, workman's comp, and security that starts clear back in May
Mm.
and runs through the middle of July.
And the 8,000 is for the racing secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something else too that I need to bring up, and this is a good time to bring up. We have been paying for the hotel for him. We did last year at least, but that hotel ended up being between 150 and 200 a night for like a month. We got to find, either you guys need to find something. That's a compromise we really need to work on, and we can work on that off schedule, but we've got to find some way to make that more reasonable.
That's Grants Pass.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
something to think about.
It is. Okay.
Okay.
Karen, you have your hand up?
So is there anything that can be done with the county on the running the days, for the track training days? So that 45.33 a day, is that something we can, what
That's
would have to happen to get that number down?
That's not a county number.
Oh, it's not.
The only part of that number is part of the rent, which is $281 a day.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought, that was like the cost of getting the track.
No. This is full training costs. So there's a whole description of the training costs, utilities, rent, tractor drivers.
Okay, that's what that's, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Good.
one thing that is really unfortunate, and maybe we can all work on, is, I don't know how, but if we could just get the county to help with some of the security. And not talking about the county fair necessarily, but like the police department or the county police, something.
That would be great if we could, but it's not even a possibility anymore. Our county sheriff's department years ago, this has been a lot of years ago, but our county sheriff's department used to do all of that for us. They used to manage every race day, and they would have their recruits, their sheriffs in training, come and work the fairgrounds. they can't even get a big a sheriff department to even run the whole county now. So, and our county fairgrounds, they are as broke as anybody can imagine. I mean, they're on the whim of going broke. I mean, we saved them, Sora saved them, gave them, like, our first time we raced in 2012, they were so far in the hole, they were going to close forever. And we gave them like $20,000 out of our racing funds for that first year that we raced there, just to get them where the county would even keep the facility open. They're down to one maintenance person for that whole county fairgrounds. And that's all they have. They have one maintenance person and one part-time person that actually stays on the property for half of his rent. And so they got a very limited staff, a very low budget fairgrounds. It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, Sora has to do a lot of that maintenance when we get there to even keep things going and keep the grass.
That's really good to know, because that
Yeah.
supports it, the link to the county fair. I mean, it really does support the link to the county fair. If you guys went away, they probably wouldn't have a county fair anymore.
Oh, that thing would be grown up in weeds. It'd be a knee high, and there'd be, I mean, it would be a sight for sore eyes if we weren't there, because we're there, we're there 7 months out of the year. So, I mean, we keep the grasses mowed and the weeds down and the weeds picked, and we weed eat, we do all kinds of stuff. We paint things, we keep maintenance up for them. But, in retrospect, they give us a very fair rent. I mean, it's $20,000 a season, for renting that whole facility. So they give us we charge utilities too, which is about $20,000. So it's about $40,000 each race meet. But for them, it's a lot more than that because of the maintenance and all the things that we do for that fairgrounds. So it's important to do that.
Yeah. Well, and with the rest of the thing, it's called Welcome to Josephine County.
Yeah, it's a very low income area. So.
Yeah, it is. Okay, any other questions of Rob before we go into executive session, and then we'll come back to public session?
And Malia will keep this going.
So she'll keep this open, and then
You all should have gotten a request to go. Karen is going to say something really important.
So I'm going to keep this meeting open, but I'm going to mute and turn my camera off so I can go into the other meeting. Malia had to step away, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
so
And
so
then,
hopefully that won't mess us up.
Aren't we supposed to make some legal statement about we're going into
Oh, yeah,
executive session, blah, blah, blah?
According to
Yeah.
ORS, whatever, we are going into executive session. Leah, do you have the verbiage?
Well, no, I'm sorry, I don't. But my question was, are we to stay on here and then you'll come back?
If you
in-
have, well, why don't we do this? Let me make a recommendation. Why don't we take public comment before we get in? That way, if anybody has any public
Yes.
comment, they don't have to wait for us, and then we'll come back and officially close the session.
Yeah, because when we come back out of executive session, we're not going to make any decisions. We're not going to have any discussion. We're just going to close the meeting. So I think that's excellent. Let's have public comment now. And then on any of the budget items or whatever, it will go into executive session as per ORS, whatever it is. And,
Yes, I have it.
and then we will come back into regular session, which we have to. But we would have no discussion, no decisions. We'll just adjourn. Okay?
Okay, so we don't need to bother to try to stay on.
No.
Okay.
Randy
I
has a
understand.
question.
Yes. Yeah, Randy does. Randy,
Not
where are
so-
you?
not-
There he is.
Yeah, not so much a question, but, I mean, I guess I just, to take you back a couple, 3 years, it would predate this commission of these members. I mean, when Travis decided that he was done with doing the Oregon piece of it, and I don't say that with any sort of criticism at all, the man saved racing, but it left everybody in an interesting situation. The HPPA at that point had no choice but to step up and say, okay, we're going to apply for a commercial racing license. And we went out and spent $640,000 that we'd been saving for 20 some years. And the Quarter Horse Association was kind enough to donate another 100,000. And the OTOBA donated all kinds of time and everything to help us get things off the ground. And so it was a concerted effort by all the associations. And then we got attorneys and created the HRA and hired Rod. And so that's how this thing all went down. And the other part of this I really want to bring up is that bear in mind that these $4,000 purses at the fairs are a relatively new thing. It used to be $2,400 that the commission was putting up for fair money. And when we did with all the things I just described, we wanted to boost and support fair racing in Oregon to kind of make an entire circuit where the horsemen could make enough money where they could keep coming back every year. So with all of our, and I speak of the associations, eyes wide open, we suggested and agreed to the idea of bumping the purses from 2,400 to 4,000. And then on top of it, Quarter Horse and Thoroughbred and OTOBA all are doing incentive stuff on top of it, all with that idea in mind. So the money that we willingly donated back, or donated is not the right word. The money that we agreed to have go back into the fairs came out of the very allocation you guys are talking about now with the hub funds. So we were at the point we were splitting up 2.1 million, but we've since changed things around to try and help the overall circuit so that now we are where we are. So I just thought it was important to understand all that stuff, because it's not something that just everybody had to work really hard to get where we are today. And we're all just trying to, make it through.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, any other public comment?
Just one for Connie. We are working on trying, at least for Grants Pass, trying to find Jerry a better spot to stay. So just for your information.
Thanks, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Like you, we are down to bare minimums on our budget as well.
Yeah. Okay, anything else before we go into executive session? Did we find the ORS?
Karen, can you speak to the clause?
Yes. So we will now go into executive session to review and discuss financial information under ORS 192.3559.
Okay, thank you. So that's what we'll do. And so with this, I'm just going to whip this up, get into the other link, and then get back into this one, maybe. So, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, is this the executive session one? You guys? Yeah, you did, and I just clicked on it, and I see that, I've got my face, and it's you and Tom and a number and whatever, but I'm not in. Here, I will get, but see, I didn't get out of the other one, I just flipped it up, so. I'll get out of the other one. I'll see if I can find it, okay? Yeah, because I've got the Microsoft Teams one for you, but I'm not quite sure. Oh, wait. Okay, well, I'm trying to figure how I get back into the other one. Because I didn't log out of the other one. Yeah, but that's the one that I just clicked to get in now to this one. Okay, okay, okay.
Hello.
You're back.
We just have to wait for the others to get back.
You can't hear me while I'm on mute, can you?
It's difficult.
I was just gonna say, are you talking to someone else or are you trying to talk to us? Your lips are moving, but they're making no noise.
And making no noise. So I said, Carrie's the only one that stayed the whole time. That's pretty impressive. For those of you who don't know, Carrie is with Grade 2K. He's very happy right now.
I'm just trying to do my part and be the dog guy, Connie. That's it.
I know, I get it. Let me in, she says.
I didn't see a
I don't see that
admin.
I don't see that she's trying to get in.
Maybe she's trying to get back into the executive session meeting.
Well, I feel like we spent a lot of times in meetings today and didn't really accomplish much of anything.
We talked about a lot.
We talked about
It
a
was
lot.
informational
Yes.
for everyone. Yeah.
So Kelly, if she can't get back in, since we don't have a quorum anyway, can we end the meeting without her? Kelly's gone.
Nope, I'm here. Sorry, I just had to try and unhook. I mean, I think Commissioner Fowler could probably end the meeting if she can't come back in. We just need someone to end the meeting just to cover our bases.
I can
For the
step in
record.
and end the meeting or make a motion to end the meeting, whatever is necessary.
Let me
Um,
just let her know.
We have to just announce that we've left
yes.
executive session and the time, and that we're back in regular session and the time, and then go through your adjournment process.
Correct.
So Karen, do you want us to do all that special, we're back from executive session stuff? Please do.
Oh, me? Okay, yeah, I can do that. Okay, so the commission is back out of executive session at 1:47 and back into regular session of the budget committee meeting at 1:48.
Okay.
I also want to know, there she is. Oh, is that her?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
I'm back. Thank you.
Okay.
And Karen just said that we're back from executive session, so the floor is all yours.
Okay, so we're back from executive session. We talked about some various things, and that's about all that we have for the budget committee. Is there any thing, Commissioner Fowler, you want to say before we adjourn?
No, not at all. And if we need a motion to adjourn, I'll make that motion.
Okay, if you could do that,
So moved.
and I will second it. And so the budget committee is adjourned. Thank you all very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.